All right, we are back with another pick'em video, and today we have a big NBA slate of games, and we also have the NBA Cup, so it should be a decent amount of fun basketball tonight. Decent playoff-like atmospheres as well for some of these games, because some of these games are like win and then you make it to the next round of the Cup. Some of these games are lose and you're out of the Cup, and then some of them are a little bit more complicated and point differentials and things like that. And then of course there's some teams that are just out of this thing completely, but it should make for a decent amount of fun games tonight. And definitely liking the board. There's a whole bunch of games I was going to upload yesterday, but the board just looked pretty bad, and it ended up being pretty bad. A lot of blowouts yesterday in just a 4-game slate. So, just going to jump right into things today. Go over some plays. I think I got 6 of them today with the decent slate going on. So, super excited about that. If you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe. Leave the video a like, comment something down below. Just going to tell YouTube to push this thing out a little bit more. We're going to go over hit rates, matchups, market value, all those different things that go into making decent plays. And let's just get right into it. All right, so jumping into the desktop screen here, we're going to go over all the plays. They should still be available, but obviously bumps and lines move all the time. So keep that in mind. If things are moved or changed, maybe hit me up in the comments or ask it in there, and I can usually get back to you guys for those. But also, if you're not on PrizePicks and you want to check them out, use code RichPicks when signing up. When you do that, all you got to do is bet $5, and they're going to load your account up with $50 instantly. So it's a nice little deposit match there, a promo code to get you started. Also, during this video, you're going to see me use a bunch of tools. If you want to get access to any of those tools, you can also use my links in the description of this video. You're going to get some sort of perk for using my link, whether it's a free trial or some sort of discount on your first month or something like that. So definitely check those out if you are interested. Also, the elephant in the room here is obviously we had the holidays. I didn't upload during those. I have a huge family. I've got 8 siblings. So it's nice to see everyone. And then of course I was going to get going with the videos again. And just like probably anyone else, I'm definitely dealing with some sickness, of course. Usually this time of year you get allergies and things like that. But this one is kind of a little bit more scary just because my hearing has been pretty much going away for the past 10 days, which is weird. So definitely trying to figure that out. It's weird to not be able to hear yourself as clearly as you should be able to, especially when recording these videos. So I've been trying to figure that out, and obviously, hope that comes back. But we'll just keep going through it. But yeah, back on the daily grind, so you can expect normal videos like this moving forward. But to get to a positive note here, we're going to start off with Jared Allen. He's going up against the Wizards. This is the best matchup you can go ahead and get pretty much at any different time, going for any different stats. But specifically points in the paint, they allow a whole bunch of points. They allow a bunch of rebounds, points, rebounds, assists, all these different types of things. And we're going to go to Jared Allen, first half PRA. His fantasy score for the first half did just pop up as well. But I haven't looked really into that. I don't think we have the numbers on that just yet. But he does have the stats here pulling up an outlier. You can see 15 to 21 games he's gone over this first half PRA line. It was at 13.5 earlier. I wanted to get it there, but of course it did get bumped to 14.5, moving in the right direction because he's got such a great matchup. You see the Wizards allow points, rebounds, assists, 29th, 29th, 24th. So that's pretty cool. To the centers, they allow a whole bunch of points, rebounds, assists. We're not going to really matter. He's going to get most of his damage here in the points and rebounds department. You can see, again, 57% of games he's gone over this. We love to see that. In home games, he's gone over this in 67% of games, so we do like to see that as well. The Wizards are away. They're huge underdogs. I don't want to play this the full game because it's one of those games that doesn't matter. If this is a blowout, they're probably going to pull their starters. I don't want to see him play 25 minutes and not be able to get this. Most of his time, most of his stats probably going to come in the first half of this game. And again, being at home, probably more misses for the Wizards here, who are a bad team anyway, not as good on the road. And, the Cavs should take care of business here. And a nice 67% hit rate at home games. Last year, this was a 73% hit rate on home games as well. You can see he wasn't playing a ton of time in the beginning of the year. I guess I got home games here, but at the beginning of the year, he wasn't playing a ton of time as he was nursing that injury coming back from it. So he wasn't hitting this line, but really once he hit his groove, he started hitting this pretty much all the time. So yeah, first half PRA for Jared Allen looking pretty good. The head-to-head matchup, of course, looks really good. It's kind of saving this best for last year. Played him five times in the past 2 years, gone over in 4 of those 5 games, and then did play him this year, and he had 19 PRA in the first half against him back in October, probably one of the first games of the year. Can't show us market value on this one just because we don't have a whole bunch of markets that have first half plays, but really liking Jared Allen. He's got a great matchup, textbook matchup, A-plus matchup, whatever you want to call it. He's at home, and these guys should smack them around a bit. Hopefully, Jared Allen, just getting some dunks, some layups, and grabbing some boards with the Wizards. Hopefully throwing up some bricks. And then moving right along here to the next one, it's going to be RJ Barrett. I definitely knew I wanted to get to him at some point. I ended up landing on his 1.5 3-pointers made just because his points and his PRA, a lot of his lines are really, really inflated. But he's RJ Barrett at home in Toronto, where he's from. And he's been a different player when he's been at home. He's obviously had a great year. Scotty Barnes is now back in the lineup. But RJ is scoring like 30 points a game in like 7 games playing in Toronto. And now he's got Indiana, a high-paced offense that's going to go right into that. So I think he could totally get his points line. I think he can get his PRA line. I'll probably play him at some capacity where I can get good market value elsewhere. But we're just not seeing that on PrizePicks right now. If you take a look at the market value, I'll never be someone that's going to take, a plus money play or something like that on PrizePicks. And you can see that his, PRA, his rebounds and assists, both on the under here, the best you can get is for his points and assists in terms of market value. Still not amazing, but if you want to go to points and assists, that's probably the way I would play it on PrizePicks right now. And then, of course, his 3-pointers made at 1.5, 51% chance to hit. Why is that? All these books, minus 123, minus 128, they're slightly favoring the over here rather than the under. And of course, we want to take a look at what he's been doing so far this season. If I go into Outlier here, another partner of the channel, again, you can check out both of these. Outlier has a free trial for a week if you use my link. And DG Fantasy is going to give you 25% off your first month, I believe. But you can see here that, if you go to Outlier, you see all his stats on PrizePicks right now, and this also includes Underdog plays as well. You can see that just dating back or just for the entire year, 78% hit rate on the under first half PRA. I don't want to take an under on him. His best hit rate for the entire year is this 3-pointers line, 61% of games. So I want to take a look at that. Obviously, that points and assists line is kind of interesting to me as well because Indiana doesn't give up a ton of 3-pointers. They're more middle of the road, but they do give up a ton of points. They kind of do run guys off of the line. But 61% of games, RJ's gone over this. He's coming off, 3, 2, and 3. A lot of games with at least 1 here. Hasn't had a game with 0. He only shoots about 5.8, 36% clip. But again, the biggest thing for me here is not only is he going up against, against Indiana, where he scored 39 points against them last game, which was, a few weeks ago, and he had 4 3-pointers. Another reason I like his points today, 39 points in the last matchup against them. That was this year. But he also had 4 threes. And again, he's going up against them at home, where he's been a totally different player, 86% of games at home. He's had over this 1.5 threes, averaging 2.57 threes at home. So love to see that. Again, not a guy that jacks up a whole bunch of threes, but has been knocking down at home in a really, really good clip. 44% of the time on 5.9 attempts. Also, Scotty Barnes is back in the lineup. Definitely a guy that can set him up for a little bit more. Play a little bit more off ball. When we see Scotty Barnes in the lineup with RJ, 71% of games he's gone over this, including the last 3 games where he knocked down 3, 2, and 3. So decent matchup here. I really want to get to his points. So if you want to go to his points and assist line on something like PrizePicks, that's the best, in terms of lines that you can include his points right now for market value. That's probably the way that I would attack it. He scored 39 points against these guys again last time they played. High-paced offense. This is an in-season cup tournament game. It doesn't matter for either of these teams, but maybe a little bit more oomph in there. And then again, the biggest thing is he's at home. Last thing I want to point out is that he has a RotoWire projection model. This is another projection model that I love to see, and they give us just numbers based on what they got in the stats. PrizePicks integrated and all that different stuff, all these different apps. You can just go in, see what the best plays are in terms of their projection model. 1.5 3-pointers, they're projecting at 2.36 3-pointers. So they really, really like this over as well. So wanted to point that out. RJ, really, really good spot for a lot of different things. But 1.5 threes is the way that I'm going to play it today. All right, so moving along to the next play here. It might just end up being the player because it looks like they're moving his points and assist line as we speak. There we go, it's taken off the board. But you can probably just go to his points. He's not going to get a ton of assists. I do like his scoring potential in today's matchup against Portland. I was liking that little added, oh my gosh, wow, it just got bumped up to 23.5. So yeah, we got really good value at the 21.5. If you want to just go to his 21 points, I think he's going to be able to do this against Portland. He's been really, really good this year. Definitely a candidate for most improved player or maybe comeback player of the year, whatever you want to call him. But he's really slotted into that, next to James Harden spot on the Clippers rotation really, really well, and he's been killing it. I also realized that I took a whole bunch of time on those last ones, so we're going to try to speed this up a little bit. But let's go to Norman Powell. This was what I was looking at, so we'll just take a look at it. Points and assists here, 21.5, over in 75% of games. Obviously, that's a really good look. You can see in a lot of these games, he's going over this in just the points alone. You know, he did just miss a whole bunch of games, missed about 2 weeks. You can see the minutes have been down, trending downwards too. But he, missed time, came right back. They played him 24 minutes in a 4-point game, and he had 28 points, shot really well. So he didn't really skip a beat. I expect him to kind of come right back into where he's been, and now he's got a great matchup against Portland, who allow a whole bunch of points, allow a whole bunch of assists. So if you can still find this at 21.5 points of assists, I think that's the way to play it. If not, maybe just go to his points. But again, NBA Cup game, Clippers are technically still in this thing. If you want to know the ins and outs of the NBA Cup, they could, I guess, move on to this thing. I think they have to win by a whole bunch, and certain teams have to lose or whatever. But this is a game that they want to win, and they've been playing decently well. Clippers are kind of a surprise for the NBA season, especially with the whole Kawhi situation. But Norman Powell looking really good, and if he gets more towards his normal minutes, like 30 minutes or so, against a good matchup in Portland, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Then you see the head-to-head as well. Did play these guys once this year. He had 30 points and 2 assists. Obviously, last year he was a completely different player than he was this year, having a whole bunch of shots and knocking them down at a really good clip. 49% for the entire year. So Norman Powell, I know this thing's going to be bouncing around. Looks like he's getting a bunch of lines now. So however you want to play that, just know that I got him at 21.5 points and assists. If you can find that elsewhere, if you find a better slip way to go to it, you could probably just go to his points and assists at 22.5, or maybe just his points at 21. I'll leave that up to you. And then the next 3 guys we're going to talk about, starting with Giannis here, are going to be players on teams that need to win tonight in order to move on. So kind of win and move on, which is great for them. So they might be playing it more like a playoff game. And also these guys are going to be like top guys that have performed in the playoff type atmospheres or in these cup games so far this season. We're going to start with Giannis. Very high number here at 49.0 PRA here. But this is a team that's going up against Detroit, who's been pretty good defensively, but to the power forward position, they have had that weakness. And we saw Giannis score 59 points against this team earlier in the year. Not 59 PRA, 59 points overall. So let's take a look at Giannis here. PRA, again, we're going to be looking at 48.5, just seeing the greens. 49 is some push potential here. But he's over in 65% of games, including, this big winning streak that they've been on. Started the season off horrible. These little wins that they've been picking up, against Detroit. That was the game he had 59, 14, and 7. That's the team he's playing against today. He had 80 PRA against them last time. Then you win against Charlotte, pick up a big win against Houston, beat Chicago, beat Indiana, Charlotte again, and then Washington. They are, starting to rack up these wins and moving up in the standings in the East. And this little NBA Cup thing that's going on, this would be a very big, pick-me-up for a season that's been, a little bit back and forth here. And then as it's kind of turning around, this is a great spot to kind of back Milwaukee. Now you see Detroit's points allowed, rebounds allowed, assists allowed, all kind of, middle of the road or lower, but to that power forward position, whole bunch of points allowed. Obviously, 59 points from Giannis isn't going to help this number very much, but they allow a whole bunch of points, rebounds, and assists or more to the power forward position. That's kind of the position that they are a little bit weaker in. So, with great history here, you can see the head-to-head. The last 3 games he's gone over this against Detroit, so he hasn't had, any sort of bad history recently against them. He's been playing them really well, and again, can't really stress this enough. This game this year, 59, 14, and 7, kind of speaks for itself. Then you look at the market value. They're liking this over 49, 52.81% chance to hit. Why is this? All these other books have them at 49.5. Some books are already up at 50.5, and some of the books at 49.5 still favoring the over, actually. So really, really liking this here at 49. Great value for Giannis in an NBA Cup situation. Then next up, we're going to talk about Jalen Brunson here going up against Orlando, who is a very, very good defense. But we've seen Brunson, just like in the playoffs last year, he really steps up his game. He locks in, scores a lot of points, shoots a lot of times, and we've seen him do that in the past 2 NBA Cup games. So I expect nothing less from Brunson today. You can see the 24.5 points. That is a good play for today. A lot of people got it at 23.5. I got his PRA at 34.5. That's where I played it. Right now, the best market value on him is 27.0 points and rebounds. Maybe that's the way you go, or maybe just go to the points. Anyone that got this 23.5, looking pretty good. He's just, you got a great opportunity today with a whole bunch of shot opportunities probably coming his way in a situation where they need to win this game. Let's take a look at some of these NBA Cup games. First of all, over 34.5 PRA. That's kind of what I'm looking at just because that's where I played it. Bumps are going to happen. You guys are going to have to pivot a little bit here. But over in 55% of games, obviously meshing with Karl-Anthony Towns a little bit better now in terms of scoring. He's been able to do that a whole lot better recently. Looking at these NBA Cup games, this was one of them. He had 31, 6, and 7. That would be over that 27.0 points and rebounds line if you want to check that out. But he killed that game. Next NBA Cup game was this one. The 15th, he had 37, 3, and 7, so he crushed his PRA in that one too. So the past 2 NBA Cup games, 37 points and 31 points. That's really the biggest thing here. Yes, he is going up against Orlando, who don't allow a whole bunch of points to the point guard position. They're a little bit worse in terms of allowing these PRAs, but they're one of the best defenses in the league. This could be a very low-scoring game. I was also looking at Mikal Bridges, who also has lines that are pretty low for this game, but Mikal Bridges hasn't had the best performances in these NBA Cup games where they kind of leaned on Brunson a little bit more. Head-to-head, you can see he's gone over in 2 of the last 3 matchups against them, so even with this defense that looked pretty good last year, they look good this year, he still has been able to go over this. Obviously, different season, different years, it's going to be a whole lot different, but Brunson looking pretty good. Again, last 2 NBA Cup games, this should be, ball in his hands a whole lot with a whole lot of field goal attempts going up, even against a tough defense. Again, lines are going to move all the time. You're going to see the under 35.5 PRA, so maybe that's not the best way to do this on PrizePicks. Just saying under because, the market value, PrizePicks put this line up a little bit higher than everyone else at 34.5. This would be, saying take the over. But points and rebounds on the over, probably the way I would play this at this point. Just the best market value on PrizePicks right now. But Brunson should have a whole bunch of shots. Again, tougher matchup for him, but I'm really liking him for today. And then last but not least here, I'm going to Wembanyama. Again, these are all players, or I guess Brunson is in there too, all players that need to win today in order to move on. If they do win, they are moving on to the next round of that NBA Cup. So these are guys that I'm going to be leaning on. Victor Wembanyama is going to be the last video pick for today. 39.5 PRA. Again, kind of messing around with the market value. It's his best one that includes points on the over, 39.5. And again, he's kind of been killing it lately. Definitely started off the year with a, maybe concerning just because the guy has so much potential and so much stock in him. But he's been killing it recently. The Spurs have been winning games as well. And the last 2 NBA Cup games that he's taken part of, that was the 26, I believe. I think this is one. 34-7 and 2 there for getting over this PRA. And then another one against the Lakers. He had 28, 14, and 5. Now he's got Phoenix, who, allow a decent amount of points, especially to that center position. Great matchup for centers, points, rebounds, and assists allowed with Nurkic down there. They, mess around with their lineup a decent amount, but they're fully healthy, so they should be looking good. They are 7.5-point underdogs here, the Spurs are, but again, they've been playing a little bit more than, or better than people have expected, so hopefully this one stays close. You can see with this graphic right here, if the Spurs win, they supposedly move on here, so this could be a nice little win for a group that's mostly made up of younger players. Obviously, Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, probably one of the bigger reasons that they've been winning closer games this year, getting that veteranship, but also just a team that's made up by a bunch of young guys. This NBA Cup tournament could mean a whole lot to them. So Wemby kind of catching his groove now, has a great matchup against Phoenix in terms of the numbers, points allowed, rebounds allowed, assists allowed. Did have a pretty good game against them last year, had a horrible game against them last year as well. This was a back-to-back though. Wemby does not play well on back-to-backs. He only played 20 minutes in this game as well, and this was last year. Obviously Wemby a different player this game too, so a whole bunch of stuff that you can look at here, but good to see that he's in his groove. This is an NBA Cup game that they should rely on a little bit more, and numbers-wise, Phoenix giving up a decent amount of stuff. We already looked at the market value. This is the best one that includes his points. I like his points because he's been knocking down threes like Steph Curry lately, so 39.5 PRA, and then I didn't really take a look at his RotoWire projection model, but maybe they're favoring what I like. Looks like they're a little bit on the under, but you can see other sportsbooks, some of these already up at 40.5, so that's good to see, and again, the hit rate has been pretty solid. They're expecting 38.91. It's not like they're way under this number. So Wemby, he's going to be the last guy I like for today. Again, Brunson, the way you play him is going to be up to you, but points and rebounds probably the best way for him. And then the other play that we talked about was Norman Powell. These are just lines that got moved around just because we got good value. But Norman Powell, if you want to maybe go to his fantasy score, I think I like it at 26. If that's still up, 26.5. Maybe just go to Norman Powell's fantasy score. I think this is just down because he didn't play a whole bunch of minutes when he came back. I think those are going to start creeping up. If we see 28 minutes from Norman Powell, he should be able to cash this for us against Portland. So that's going to do it for this one. We talked about a whole bunch of plays. Jarrett Allen, RJ Barrett, Giannis, Victor Wembanyama, Jalen Brunson, Norman Powell, all guys that I'm really liking the overs for today. Jared Allen, the only game that doesn't really matter. RJ as well, but he's at home. Toronto RJ, however you want to call him for that nickname, but he plays really, really well at home. If you can get to his points in any way that has good market value, I would definitely go to his points, but I like his 1.5 threes as well. Giannis, Victor, Jalen, all playing for NBA Cup advancement. So I like those guys today. And then Norman Powell, I think we're just getting a good discount because he is coming back from injury. He has one game under his belt. It's not the first game back. So I think those minutes should come back. And he's got a decent amount of rest, at least one game. This isn't a back as well. And he's got a good matchup against Portland. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. I definitely went ahead and bumbled through this video. We're up to 20 minutes or so, but hopefully you guys got something from it. Really liking the plays. I think there's a decent amount of value out there. And yeah, bumbled through, a little bit rusty here. And I mentioned it earlier in the video, but my sinus infection really has turned into a loss of hearing. Hopefully that comes back. But when you're recording these videos, it's already hard enough to sit here and record for 30 minutes and come bumble over your words and hear yourself speak. But it's another whole situation when you're bumbling through your words and you can barely hear yourself because of whatever's going on with my ear. That hopefully, I'm praying that it gets fixed eventually. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. If you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe. Usually it's a little bit, more fluent in these videos. Leave the video like, comment something down below, and definitely you could play a little bit heavier today. Usually I say play light when we got a smaller slate, but we got some good slates here, a lot of games that matter as well. So I'm liking the slate for today. So definitely check us out if you want to get into our Discord community. You can get access to all my plays, but also just a fun community to talk to other like-minded sports people. The links for that in the description. There's plenty of different ways to get in for free if you want to sign up for any of my partners. I post plays from all of them, pretty much all of them. So if you sign up for any of those, just hit me up in the comments, hit me up in the free part of the Discord, say, hey, I use your code. I'd like to check you out for a free month, and I'll get you set up with that. And then, of course, you get access to all of my plays and things like that. I didn't show you in this video, but typically we show the Discord and everything like that. I'm still bumbling, so that's going to do it. I'm going to shut the camera off, get out of here, and keep looking at more plays for other sportsbooks and other DFS platforms for the Discord. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.